Oh, what's up, chat? Welcome back to another daily stream on the channel. What's up? What's up? Today is day 192 in a row of our 1 year Bible read. It's a little late night with Jesus. Late night with Jesus, Yeah, go ahead and grab your Bible to spend a late night with Jesus tonight. It's about 10 p.m. over here with me, and we're reading from what a page flip. You know, we're reading from July the 10th because we're 2 days early. I know it's 7/8, but we're on 7/10 because we started 2 days early in a 1 year Bible read. Now, if you don't know what this is a 1 year Bible read. We're doing a consecutive 365-day read. We're on day 192 in a row, and we are just reading the Bible every single day for 365 days. It's short, sweet, and simple. And if you want to go ahead and spend a great night with Jesus, go ahead and double tap the screen. If you don't know how to like the streams, go ahead and double tap. If you own a computer, go just click the like thing, you know. Um, and I hope you have a great time and enjoy tonight's read. Tonight's read is coming from 1 Chronicles 9, 1 through 10. Then we're going to follow up Chronicles with Acts 27, 21 through 24. 21 through 44, and then Psalms 8, 1 through 9, and then wrapping up the night's read with Proverbs 18, 23 through 24. Yes, sir. Now let's get into it. Let's spend a good late night with Jesus. Late night with Jesus started in 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. 1 Chronicles 9, 1 through 10, going through verse 14. So Israel was listed in the genealogical records. This is going to be history. For everybody who doesn't want to listen to the history, it's all good. But it's about to be the history right here. In the book of the kings of Israel, the people of Judah were exiled to Babylon because they were unfaithful to the Lord. The first of the exiles to return to their property in their former towns were priests, Levites, temple servants, and other Israelites. Some of the people from the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh came and settled in Jerusalem. One family that returned was that of Uthai, son of Amihud, son of Amri, son of Imri, son of Bani, a descendant of Perez, son of Judah. Hey, honey. Others returned from the Shilonite clan, including Asai the oldest and his sons. From the Zerathite clan, Joel returned with his relatives. In all, 690 families from the tribe of Judah returned. From the tribe of Benjamin came Shalu, son of Meshullam, son of Hodaviah, son of Hasaniah, Ibn son of Jeroham, Elah son of Uzi, and son of Mikri, and Meshullam, son of Shephatat, and son of Ruel, son of Ibinjah. These men were all leaders of clans, and they were listed in the genealogical records. In all, 956 families from the tribe of Benjamin returned. Among the priests who returned were Jedediah, Jehoram, Jachin, Azariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshullam, son of Zadok, son of Meroth, son of Ahitub. Azariah was the chief officer of the house of God. Other returning priests were Adiah, son of Jeroham, son of Pashur, son of Makijah, son of Masaj, son of Adiel, son of Jazerah, and son of Meshulam, son of Meshemeleth, and son of Immer. In all, 1,760 priests returned. They were heads of clans and very able men. They were responsible for ministering at the house of God. The Levites who returned were Shemaiah, son of Hashub, son of Azagram, son of Hashabiah, a descendant of Merari and Bakar. Heresh, Galal, Mattaniah, and son of Micah, son of Zikri, and son of Asaph. Obadiah, son of Shemaiah, and son of Galal, son of Jeduthun, and Berechiah, son of Asa, son of Elkanah, and who lived in the area of Notapah. What's up? What's up, Lionel? Welcome to the chat. The gatekeepers who returned were Shalom, Akub, Talmon, Ahiman, and their relatives. Shalom was the chief gatekeeper. Prior to this time, they were responsible for the king's gate on the east side. These men served as gatekeepers for the camps of the Levites. Shalom was the son of Kor, a descendant of the Abisaph from the clan of Korah. He and his relatives, the Korahites, were responsible for guarding the entrance to the sanctuary. This is their ancestors that guarded the tabernacle and the camp of the Lord. Phinehas, son of Eleazar, had been in charge of the gatekeepers in the earlier times, and the Lord had been with him. And later, Zechariah, son of Mashemaliah, was responsible for guarding the entrance to the tabernacle. In all, there were 212 gatekeepers in those days, and they were listed according to the genealogies in their villages. David and Samuel the seer had appointed their ancestors because they were reliable men. These gatekeepers and their descendants, by their divisions, were responsible for guarding the entrance to the house of the Lord when the house was a tent. The gatekeepers were stationed on all four sides east, west, north, and south. Their relatives in the villages came regularly to share their duties for 7-day periods. The four chief gatekeepers, all Levites, were trusted officials, for they were responsible for the rooms and treasuries at the house of God. They would spend the night around the house of God, since it was their duty to guard it and to open the gates every morning. Some of the gatekeepers were assigned to care for the various articles used in worship. They checked them in and out to avoid any loss. Others were responsible for the furnishings, the items in the sanctuary, and the supplies, such as choice flour, wine, olive oil, frankincense, and spices. But it was the priest who blended the spices. Mattathiah, a Levite and the oldest son of Shallum, the Korahite, was entrusted with baking the bread used in the offerings. And some members of the clan of Kohath were in charge of preparing the bread to be set on the table each Sabbath day. The musicians, all prominent Levites, lived at the temple, and they were exempt from other responsibilities since they were on duty at all hours. All these men lived in Jerusalem. They were the heads of the Levite families and were listed as prominent leaders in their genealogical records. Jael, the father of Gibeon, lived in the town of Gibeon. His wife's name was Makah, and his oldest son was named Abdon. Jael's oldest son was Zur, Kish, Baal, Ner, Nadab, Gedor, Ahio, Zechariah, and Mikloth. Mikloth was the father of Shimeon, and all these families lived near each other in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish, and Kish was the father of Saul. Saul was the father of Jonathan, and Malchishua, Aminadab, and Eshbal. Jonathan was the father of Meribal, and Meribal was the father of Micah. The sons of Micah were Pithon, Melech, Tariah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jadah, and Jadah was the father of Alameth, Azamath, and Zimri. Zimri was the father of Mosa, and Mosa was the father of Benaiah. Benaiah's son was and Raphiah's son was Elisah. Elisah's son was Azel, and Azel's son had 6 sons, whose names were Azrikram, Bokeru, Ishmael, Shariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azel. Now the Philistines attacked Israel, and the men of Israel fled before them. Many were slaughtered on the slopes of Mount Gilboa. The Philistines closed in on Saul and his sons, and they killed 3 of his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. The fighting grew very fierce around Saul, and the Philistine archers caught up. Oh, and the Philistine archers caught up with him and wounded him. Saul groaned to his armor bearer, "Take your sword and kill me before these pagan Philistines come to taunt and torture me." But his armor bearer was afraid and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. And when his armor bearer realized that Saul was dead, he fell on his own sword and died. So Saul and his 3 sons died there together, bringing the dynasty to an end. When all the Israelites in the Jezreel valley saw that their army had fled and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned their towns and fled. So the Philistines moved in and occupied their towns. The next day, when the Philistines went, "How you doing, Raph? Welcome back to the chat, bro. Good to see you again." Out to strip the dead, they found the bodies of Saul and his sons in Malkaboa. So they stripped off Saul's armor and cut off his head. Then they proclaimed the good news of Saul's death before their idols and to the people throughout the land of Philistia. They placed his armor in the temple of their gods, and they fastened his head to the temple of Dagon. When when everyone in Jabesh Gilead heard about everything the Philistines had done to Saul and all their mighty warriors brought back the bodies of Saul and his sons back to Jabesh, then they buried their bones beneath the great tree of Jabesh, and they fasted for 7 days. So Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He failed to obey the Lord's command, and he even consulted a medium instead of asking the Lord for guidance. So the Lord killed him and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. And now, Acts 27:21 through 44. No one had eaten for a long time. Finally, Paul called the crew together and said, "Men, you should have listened to me in the first place and not left Crete. You have avoided all this damage and loss. But take courage. None of you will lose your lives, even though the ship will go down. For last, for last night, an angel of God to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me and said, 'Don't be afraid, Paul, for you will surely stand trial before Caesar. What's more, God in his goodness has granted safety to everyone sailing with you. So take courage, for I believe God. It will be just as he said. But we will be shipwrecked on an island.' About midnight on the 14th night of the storm, as we were being driven across the Sea of Adria, the sailors sensed the land was near. They dropped a weighted line and found that the water was about 120 feet deep. But a little later, they measured again and found it was only 90 feet deep. At this rate, they were afraid we would be soon driven against the rocks along the shore, so they threw out 4 anchors from the back of the ship and prayed for daylight. Then the sailors tried to abandon the ship. They lowered their lifeboats as they as though they were going to put out anchors from the front of the ship. But Paul said to the commanding officers and soldiers, "You will all die unless the sailors stay aboard." So the soldiers cut the ropes to the lifeboat and let it drift away. Just as the day was dawning, Paul urged everyone to eat. "You have been so worried that you haven't touched food for 2 weeks," he said. "Please eat something now for your own good, for not a hair of your heads will perish." Then he took some bread, gave thanks to God before them all, and broke off a piece and ate it. Then everyone else encouraged and began to eat, all 276 of us who were on board. After eating, the crew lightened the ship further by throwing the cargo of the wheat overboard. When morning dawned, they didn't recognize the coastline, but they saw a bay with a beach and wondered if they could get to shore by running the ship aground. So they cut off the anchors and let them in the sea. Then they lowered the rudders, raised the foresail, and headed towards the shore. But they hit a shoal and ran the ship aground too soon. The bow of the ship stuck fast, while the stern was repeatedly smashed by the force of the waves and began to break apart. The soldiers wanted to kill the prisoners and make sure they didn't swim ashore and escape, but the commanding officer wanted to spare Paul, so he didn't let them carry out their plan. Then he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard first and make for land. The others held onto the planks or the breeze from the broken ship, so everyone escaped safely to the shore. And now Psalms 8 1 through 9. O Lord, our O Lord, our Lord, your majestic name fills the earth. Your glory is higher than the heavens. You have taught children and infants to tell your strength, silencing your enemies and all who oppose you. When I look at the night sky and see the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars you set in place, what are mere mortals that you should think about them? Human beings that you should care for them. Yet you have made them only a little lower than God and crowned them with glory and honor. You gave them charge of everything you made, putting all things under their authority, the flocks and the herds, and all the wild animals, and the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea, and everything that swims the ocean currents. O Lord, our Lord, your majestic name fills the earth. And now Proverbs 18:23 through 24. The poor plead for mercy, the rich answer with insults. They are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. And now, His Majesty. His Majesty. There we go. His Majesty. His Majesty. The psalmist experienced God in a grand and glorious way. He was adept in praising and worshiping God. If any human being accepted this kind of praise, it would be self-centered and an idolatrous. Idolatrous. But God is not human. Our finite human brains cannot fully comprehend the majesty of the infinite, omnipresent, omnipotent God. If we could fathom God's grandeur, it would make sense that in the presence of our Almighty God, His majestic presence compels us to bow before Him as the angels do in worship. And now, we're going to turn off this camera really quickly, chat, ask for clarity, wisdom, and discernment on today's word, and I'll be right back. Welcome back, chat. Okay, so let's go over today's read. Let me just stand back up. Let me stand back up, chat. Okay, so let's go over today's read real quick. So we just, excuse me. So we read today from 1 Chronicles 9, 1 through 10. We follow that up with Acts 27, 21 through 44. Then we followed it up Acts with Psalms 8, 1 through 9, and then wrap up the night's read with Proverbs 18, 23 through 24. Um, let's go ahead and start with Proverbs 18, 23 through 24. I wonder if my eyes look red. Can you smell? Let me stop. Proverbs 18, 23 through 24. The poor plead for mercy. The rich answer with insults. They are friends who destroy each other. But a real friend sticks closer than their brother. Um, it's not the rich against the poor. I know, and that's a kind of a great verse for today, especially after the things that have been done recently. But I'm not into politics, so I'm not gonna start talking about politics, right? But um, you know, um, uh, it's not the rich versus the poor, right? We're supposed to be family, right? We're supposed to be brothers and sisters, right? We're supposed to help each other, right? Nobody's poor if everybody's rich. you know, no one's poor if everybody's rich. Um, and so not really kind of crazy, but it doesn't really have to be like a system or anything, right? It could just be helping out your neighbor, somebody who needs help, right? If you got it, why not help, right? Um, because if you trust God, then you know that whatever you give to somebody else, you'll get back times two, most of the time, probably every time, So, um, if you got it, you might as well help, right? Um, you're not better than somebody else because you got money in your pockets, Um, it doesn't make you a new person. It makes you the same person, but um, with just more money in your pockets. So you're the same person. You came from the same place. You know, now you just got money in your pockets. So that doesn't make you different now, right? Um, and that shouldn't change your heart either for helping out others who also need help. Because when you needed help, you probably would have hoped somebody would have helped you out too, right? Um, so let's not forget that everybody needed help at some point, and you might as well lend out a hand. It don't hurt you, right? So, but let's keep on. Let's go over the rest of what we read tonight. We also read from 1 Chronicles 9, 1 through 10. Um, now we're talking about it's another history, um, another a bit about the history of everything that happened so far, and tell us where to go look to go to read the rest of this history, right? Um, but let's talk about um, Saul here before we go into our next part of the verses, right? So um, let's remember this is Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He failed to obey the Lord's command, and he even consulted a medium instead of asking the Lord for guidance. So we'll just stop right there, right? We don't need to go talk to nobody else but talking straight to God. And we talked about this. We've talked about this several times, right? God will answer in whatever way God answers, right? And you just take up what God has answered for you to do, or for you to use, or for whatever is God has given you to with His answer, right? But you don't need to go talk to nobody else. You need to go, spend a whole bunch of time doing a whole bunch of other things, watching a whole bunch of videos, doing a whole bunch of stuff. You know, everybody's been there before, but you don't have to. That's the thing. This is just the thing. This is just for clarification, right? Everybody's done it, right? And you know, but you don't have to. That's the thing. You can just have your own personal relationship, right? And God will answer in whatever way you're comfortable with God answering your questions, right? You will get your answers in whatever way. You can't expect to get an answer based on how somebody else gets their answers if you're not okay with getting answers that way. That's a frame of thought I want to put you into. Um, you have to it's you're gonna receive your answer in a way that you're comfortable in receiving an answer when you talk to God, right? So how in whatever way that is, of what you're comfortable with receiving an answer with. That's how you receive the answer, right? So don't go looking for how somebody else got their answer because it won't be the same for you if you don't believe the same things as them, you know? So it's really important that you build your own relationship with God, right? Um, because you won't get your answers the same way somebody else does. Your life won't work out the same way somebody else's life does because you don't believe the same things as them. And even if you think you do, you probably don't. People are complex, you know? So it's almost impossible to completely believe everything somebody else believes wholeheartedly and 100%, right? Um, so don't go looking left and right. We talked about this before too. Don't go looking left and right, right? Um, you will get your answer in the way that you're comfortable with receiving your answer. So get comfortable with yourself. Understand yourself when you talk to God, you know, and then get be comfortable with yourself, right? And figure out yourself too, right? So when God does answer you, you don't miss it because you're looking for your answer the same way somebody else got their answer. Is really what I'm trying to get across here. Um, and once you know how you get your answers, you just keep on going. Just keep on moving, keep on talking to God, keep on building a relationship, keep on doing that, right? Um, but we don't want to end up like Saul, because you don't have to go to nobody else to get no answers. You don't got to come to me to get no answers. You don't got to come here for the daily read to get no answers. You just go talk to God for about 5 minutes, you know, and do that every day until you get comfortable with it, right? Um, and then you start to notice how God answers your questions because God answers your questions in a way you're okay with receiving, right? So if you want to receive something differently, then that's on you. That ain't on God. That ain't on God. So don't get mad at God for that. That ain't on God. That's on you. You need to get comfortable with receiving if you want to receive something in a specific kind of way. Then you need to do something, right? That's not God's fault. That's you have to be comfortable with receiving something that you ask for. That's all. That's another part about honesty, and that's why we talk about Psalms, right? So if you want to learn how to pray, you go read Psalms because Psalms is about honesty. They're wholeheartedly honest in Psalms, right? These are prayers of them being open and openly saying the truth of what they actually want, right? What they actually want. We have a thing that we do here where we don't actually ask for things we want most of the time. We ask for things we think we want, but we never really thought it through or not. So we don't actually want that. So when we don't ever actually get the thing we want, we think God not looking out for us. But that ain't the case. You don't want it. So God looking out for you, you know? So so it's just like it's just being honest, right? You really got to be honest with yourself. Um, if you really want to receive something you ask for, you know, you just really got to be honest with yourself, and then also keep it hot with God too, right? I mean, if you being honest with yourself, you probably keeping it hot with God. You feel me? That's probably it plays hand in hand. Um, so um, it's really you really just got to be honest with yourself, and then honest with God, um, and then be patient. It can happen instantaneously. You don't really got to be patient for real. It really can happen instantaneously. I've seen it. you know, um, but you just got to get comfortable with God. You got to get comfortable with yourself. You got to get comfortable with God. You know, because you don't need to go talk to nobody else. You don't need to go watch a million videos. You don't need to go listen to a whole bunch of people on the internet. You don't need to do none of that stuff. You don't need to ask a whole bunch of other people that you just met who don't know you at all or any of that stuff, right? You just need to build a relationship. You just need to put in the effort. You need to put in the effort. To talk to somebody who gave you life. It's like when you don't like your parents, right? Because not everybody's parents are good parents. You feel me? But you know, you after a while through life, you start to let those other things go, right? Um, and then you decide that having that relationship is more important than the other stuff. And now at this point, you just got to realize you got to ask yourself: is it more important to keep trying to hide, or is it more important to um, tell the truth and reconnect with God? You know, um, it's a great thing to ask yourself, right? So, but let's keep on going. Acts 27:21 through 24. Um, bro, my stomach hurts. I gotta use the bathroom so bad. Okay, but let's keep on going. Acts 27:21 through 44. Um, so here we're talking about Paul, and we're talking about how they didn't listen to Paul. Cause Paul said, "Yo, If we keep going this way, we're gonna have to throw everything overboard. They didn't listen to him, right? So then they ended up in the situation he said was gonna happen. Hey, I said it was gonna have to throw all this overboard, but hey, lucky for you, God is a good God. Lucky for you guys, God is a good God. You feel me? He said nobody's gonna die here today. Hey, you didn't listen to my man's here. I was looking out for you even more than I'm looking out for you now, right? But since I'm a good God and all, since God is a good God and all, he said, hey, you know, uh, I ain't gonna take nobody out of here. What's up? How you doing, Ash? Welcome to the chat. Um, I'm not gonna take nobody out of here. Y'all just gonna end up in this remote island. you know, that's pretty funny. Um, and um, and so, but they needed more encouragement, right? So sometimes, so let's get to the real message here from this one. Um, sometimes you, sometimes the people around you are struggling, and and Paul here, he noticed the people around him, they were stressed out. The salesmen, the ship people, um, they were stressed out. They didn't know where they were going to go to, right? They weren't eating. Everybody was famished. They were trying to do everything while they were starving. They were stressed out. They probably were doing the wrong things because they were stressed out, right? And he noticed that everybody around him was so stressed out. So he came in and he brought calm to the storm, right? And sometimes it's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good. It's no big deal. I hope she's okay. Yeah. Oh, I hope. I'm glad you get to still have your grandma in your life. You feel me? It's a blessing, right? Um, but yeah, sometimes you gotta be the calm to the storm, um, so sometimes you really you gotta practice having being calm, being patient, right? Because it's gonna be something that's needed. And sometimes, like, every time is not gonna be always the best times that always happen, right? Sometimes you gotta learn how to be calm in tense situations, or um, the obstacles that sometimes happen in life, right? And Paul here, he brought that calm to the storm. Everybody was so stressed out, they weren't eating, they were lost, they didn't know what to do, they thought they were gonna die on the ship. But he said, I told you guys before, nobody's gonna die here. We're all gonna be good. What's up with the rainbow thing? This is my old background for whenever I do the streams on my computer. So this is my background for the streams on my computer. Um, I just feel like it pops. I just feel like it pops. Um, but he said nobody's gonna die here, so there's no reason to stress out. Y'all need to eat. We're not gonna make it if y'all don't eat. Y'all not gonna listen if y'all don't eat. Y'all gonna be stressed out if y'all don't eat. So I need you to eat. So he brought calm to the storm. He brought some peace to the storm. They ate. They got everything together, and they might have still, crashed um, the ship on the shore or whatever, right? But they made it, right? They made it, and that's the point here. They made it, and that's because Paul brought calm to the storm, right? Sometimes life is going to require you to bring calm to the storm. So this is a reminder to practice being calm, practice being patient, right? Um, you know, and because life happens, life is life sometimes. Um, but if you can exercise your calmness, you bring that calm to the storm, you know, then you can still make it smooth. You can still make it happen smooth, you know. Um, and then you be one of those people there. They're like, yo, how did you overcome that obstacle so easily, man? I thought that would have broke you. Nah, it was never gonna break me. I was prepared. Grow us up with the rainbow thing, bro. It's the background. It's just the background for the stream. It's just the background for the stream on the thing. It has no. There's nothing. No innuendos or anything about this. It's just a background. Um. Um. But yeah, you'll you'll just sometimes you'll just need to bring that calm, right? So, um, so yeah, when you thought it was gonna break me, it didn't break me because I was prepared for this. I heard what God said. God said you're gonna need to practice this, so I practice in my free time how to be calm. When the crazy stuff started happening, and everybody thought I was gonna be doing all this other stuff, I was chilling. I was chilling because I was prepared for this, right? You know, and even if you can't be calm the whole time, you know how to get back to your center point because you know where you come from. You know who you are. You can do that, right? What you are now. So, um, I implore you to practice patience. Practice remaining calm. Uh, No problem. You want to you're like top two, top one, top two, top one in the chat. I appreciate you always showing up. Um, you know, but you just gotta be prepared. When you get those things that are required of you to do, required of you to move forward in life, required of you to grow, then just do them. Because it's preparing you. So when everything if something does happen, right, you're ready. There's nothing wrong with being ready, right? It's not saying that you're bringing it on yourself. You just, I'm ready just in case. I'm ready just in case. You know, um, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So um, that's the end of today's 1 Year Bible Read, and this is how we're gonna wrap up tonight. Thank you for joining me, and let's hit this outro if you've never seen it before. We all got that limitless core, baby. I appreciate you. I might even love you, but I'm for sure glad you woke up today. Thank you for joining me for another daily read. Uh, it's all good. It's all good. I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping. It's all good to me. I'm not. It's not a big deal. It's good to see you whenever I get to see you. Um, but we'll just do this. Let's just do it again. We all got that limitless core, baby. I appreciate you. I might even love you, but I'm for sure glad you woke up today. Um, and like I was just about to say, I appreciate your presence as always. It's the most valuable thing you can give me, and it's something I truly do appreciate. So thank you for spending any time, any moments you spend with me, and I hope to see you again next time. Peace. Y'all have a great rest of your night. It's a great spending time with Jesus. This is a great night spending time with Jesus. So, hey, y'all have a great night. Have a great night. See you. See you later.